Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a quick review of Pearson 9.4. Some of you may have already submitted this worksheet, and that's okay. I just want to make sure you understand the concept. We're talking about subtracting fractions. So it's basically the opposite of the addition that we did yesterday. So first thing is I want you to look at what they're asking you to do here up in the example. So you see you've got some options, right? It also says you can write the difference as a fraction or a mixed number. Remember, difference means it is subtraction. And a mixed number looks like this, where you've got a whole and a fraction like the answer here. Now they used strips, and you can do that as well if that helps you do it. For here, you also might just do it as you would any other subtraction problem, except this time, remember, you're not changing the denominator because you have like denominators. Those numbers are the same. Now you know that 11 minus 2 is 9. You've got a larger number on the top for the numerator, right? Which is how you end up with a whole and a fraction, because you know that 8 over 8 equals 1 whole, but you still have 1/8 left over. Okay, so let's move down and do the other ones down here. Now they're asking us to refer back to the top because we want to grow some flowers, right? Now in that case, we're going to have left, if you look at the top, 6/8, right? But we need to get rid of the 1/8 because that's what they're telling us here, that we want to use that 1/8 section. So what's that going to be? It's going to be 5/8, because they're asking you for a little more information. Specify what we're talking about here. It's 5/8 of the garden. Okay, now let's move over to these. Don't get fooled by some of these here. It looks confusing, but it's not. Now, normally you'd keep the denominator the same, but because the numerator is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, then your answer here is going to be 0. So don't let those fool you. This one's pretty simple. You know, the 5 minus 2 is 3, so your answer will be 3/5. Again, keep that denominator the same. So now you've got 12 on the bottom here. 4 is 7 minus 3. And this one, pretty simple, 6/8. Okay, let's go ahead and go over the independent practice section as well. Now you can see here they used the fraction strips again, and you can do that as well if it helps you to write those out. You might also just do subtraction. Again, we have a like denominator, so you're going to keep that the same for most of these, right? Now you can see they took away 5 right here, and then you're going to count what they left over, which would be 6. So your answer here is 6/12. Now with 7, they kind of did the same thing. It just drew it out. They drew it out a little bit differently, and they actually gave you an answer right here, right? And the reason I say that is because you can see it here. You're going to keep, again, that denominator the same. 2 minus 1 is 1, so your answer is 1/2. Again, same thing here. So you can see they divided this into thirds. See those lines right here? They took away 1/3 out of the 2/3 right here, which means, again, denominator the same. Your answer is 1/3. Okay, let's move on to 9. Keep that denominator the same. And you end up with 2/5. Now we're getting a little more complicated over here, right? So you can already see that you have an improper fraction right here because the numerator is greater than the denominator. But you can do some simple subtraction here, and you can see that it's 14/10. Now you can leave it like that, right? Or you can turn that into a mixed number, in which case, you've got at least one whole, right? 1/10/10. So 1 whole, and then 4/10 left over. Okay, this one. 6/6. Now what is that? You know what that means? It is a whole, so it's 1. Okay, this one, numerator the same. Now, once again, you're left with an improper fraction. You can leave it. However, I'd like to see you turn that into a mixed number. So once again, you have at least 1 whole, right? 6/6. 6/6 would be 1 whole, which means then you have 2 left over. So 1 and 2/6. Okay, here's one that gets a little bit complicated, right? Because you know that 21 minus 1 is going to be 20. So you end up with 20 over 10, 20 tenths. But what is 20 tenths? What if you broke that apart further? It's going to be 10 over 10 and 10 over 10, which means that's actually 2 wholes. So your answer here is 2. Now back to this one, same as what we saw up there. This is the only time you're going to see yourself changing a denominator here, because 1 minus 1 is 0, which means your answer has to be 0.